looked at my husband, Tommy, and I was like, I don't want to sit here with my computer and my data and turn old and gray.
You bought a property and 4 weeks later, you made 50 G's.
We don't have to do that because we've got those relationships. And if you just tell people what you're doing, they're going to send you deals.
Who are you? What the heck do you do?
Okay, so my name is Courtney Green. I am a real estate agent. And for the last year, I've been investing myself. Actually, it hasn't quite been a year, but it feels like it has. I started investing last July. So prior to investing, I was in the military, and then I was a data analyst in the healthcare software field.
That's cool. I was going to ask about that. I saw a tattoo on your arm, and I thought you were military.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you for your service.
it was my pleasure.
Heck yeah. What made you hop into real estate?
Loaded question.
Yeah.
Man, I had been interested in real estate since I was young,
Yeah.
like super young. Always had my finger on the pulse. I was always looking at houses when I was young. I like to go look at houses. I can remember going to this one place where I grew up in Indiana with my mom, and we used to just go to open houses and we just used to go do all that shit together. And my dad, I remember growing up, I was watching like, oh gosh, what was it called? This Old House. I'm sure you remember that show. He was super handy. He did all the things. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that one day. And never did I think, though, that I would be a realtor first. I thought I would be an investor and flip at some point. And so anyway, we were smack in the middle of COVID. And I looked at my husband, Tommy, and I was like, I don't want to sit here with my computer and my data and turn old and gray.
Yeah.
I was making good money. I was working from home like everybody else in COVID. Even prior to COVID, I had a sweet schedule, perks, all the things. The job was great, but I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And I was married and we were financially stable. And I thought this is the time that I should do it because I wanted to do it when I got out of the Navy in 2006 and had my daughter. But I had just had a baby, left my career, moved across the world, started over. And I'm like, this isn't the time to do it. So in 2020, I thought I'm gonna jump, and I did.
That's awesome. Yeah. Funny stories. I was the vice president of an oil and gas company, getting paid out the wazoo. And I'd been investing in real estate forever because I was making good money. So I was dumping in that and still doing it. But yeah, I feel you. I was like, when I quit that cush, big salary, no matter what, I was like, oh God, kudos for you.
I wish I would have. Did you ease into that, or did you just do it?
No,
I'm like,
I've got this mentor. I pay a lot of money to a month. Like you'd be like,
yeah,
holy hell. But he was like, dude, we met up at a big event, and I got lucky enough to be on the panel of that event, and it was in Dallas, huge event, and he had a room at the place, and we were gonna do our coaching call in person for once. It's usually virtual, and he was like, meet with me. I've been thinking. You're good at real estate. Think of it like a Section 8 voucher. I'm like, bro, that's a big ass Section 8 voucher. He's like, I want you to quit. I was like, what? He's like, dude, just quit. He's like, don't even think about it. Just do it. You're going to be cool. He's like, you already got funding. You got everything. You've been doing this forever. Like, just quit. You'll be fine. And I did. Literally the next day, I walked in and I quit. And it was like the scariest thing ever.
But you had already been working up to it, right?
Yeah, I had tons of
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had a little bit of success early. I got my license in July, sold 4, 5, 6 houses between July and December. And I was like, I'm going to quit that job and I'm going to do this. And then what happened?
Yeah.
Went dry for 6 months and thought, I looked at Tommy and I was like, holy shit, what did I just do?
That's awesome. And you've done quite a few flips too now.
So no. So this is actually only my second one, Travis.
That's awesome.
So my first one was the one that was a headache.
Yeah.
Took a lot longer than I'd hoped for. It was still a win, but I bought that one in July of last year. Thought it was going to be quicker. Wasn't super, you hear of people in their first flips. It was a nightmare and this happened and that happened and we uncovered this, and really wasn't that situation. People don't want to show up to work, and then you got to fire and you got to get someone else and all those things. Yeah. And then I'm on my second one right now.
That's awesome. So you had a pretty good experience that most people probably won't believe you if you tell them you bought a property and 4 weeks later you made 50 G's.
Yeah, I didn't believe it either.
That's pretty cool. Here's a thing that I think most agents don't do, but do you think it's a good idea for agents to also learn the investment? And this is probably loaded because you are one of those, but do you think agents should learn the investment side of real estate?
Yeah, totally loaded again, but yes, but I don't think it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Yeah, I think agents should know, but like you and I've talked about this before. Sorry, I totally just got distracted. I should turn that.
You're good.
Gosh, what was I gonna say
We're talking
before?
about like agents learning the investment side, you know,
Oh,
and I,
so
yeah,
sorry. So you know me, I have a hard time taking off the realtor hat at times. And so that's why I think it if it's hard for me to do that, it's hard for others to do that.
yeah,
And I know it's not so hard for you somehow. I'm pretty sure it's taken time, right? And I think it's because as agents, we're trained and rammed down our throat about fiduciary duties and all of those things, which are important, and I abide by them. But we have to take that off when we're doing, I'm struggling on that answer, but
yeah, got you.
you see
You
what I'm
know,
saying?
I'm fortunate because I started out an investor. I've been in real estate since I was 18. Like I was in mortgage. I went through like a crash, like,
Yeah.
and then I started buying property at like 21. And I didn't have any money, but I was like figuring it out, creative, and like I've been buying property since I was 21 years old. And then I didn't decide to get a license until I was like maybe
That's
5 years later. You know?
that's the difference then.
Yeah, so I was already like buying and moving. I was like, I'll get and I got tired of agents. That's the only reason I got a license is I was like, dude, I am like sick of dealing with agents that aren't representing me the way I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give you a story real quick. I've got a buddy. He's got a ranch. He's selling it, and it hasn't sold. And he's, bro, you're good at this like market value stuff and like data.
Yeah.
He's, shoot me straight. And I look at it. It took me like 3 minutes. And I was like, you're like 200,000 over market value. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. You listed for me. I'm like, you're already under an agreement with somebody. Holler at me if something happens. And I want to cancel it. I was like, do what you need to. That was it. I'm busy. He gets back and he's like, this guy says if you're interfering, it's code of ethics and all this. I was like, bro, you approach me. But that's just to reiterate.
And see what I was saying?
I'm like,
There's a gray area, and I
yeah,
forget where I was going with that, but because we're agents, it's
yeah,
almost like we can't do this and that, but we can. I
yeah,
actually have a story. So I was probably like 6 months in, and my broker at the time was actually, we were friends. I had met her years prior when I was selling my first home that I built out here in Selma, which I regret doing, but anyway, I digress. And she was an investor. I'm not too seasoned at the time, but she had been investing and I had an opportunity. And I like whenever I found something, I would bring it to her. And she was real quick. She'd run the numbers, she would tell me what we do now.
yeah,
And I was almost upset because I was like, because I didn't understand it.
yeah,
And I thought any investor was they wanted something for nothing
yeah,
and they weren't being fair. And now I understand. And
yeah,
I do the same thing, right? Like somebody sends me something, I run the numbers, I tell them where I'm at, and I get it now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you could explain it to him like that you're
Yeah.
not taking advantage. Hey, I'm gonna pay all this money. Yeah, I'm gonna make
Yeah.
money, but if I could solve your problem, great.
Yeah. I felt like I was almost trying to push, like I was trying to push a deal to these investors. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah. Why'd you join Wholetails besides my follow-up game?
I don't even know how long you and I have been following each other on social and how that
Yeah,
happened, but it's been a few years.
yeah,
And I've been watching what you're doing, totally respect what you've been doing, and learned a lot just from what you post and share and everything, right? For free. And yeah, I never saw myself, and I think I was honest with you about that. I never thought I would pay to be in a group. And it's not because I don't understand the value, right? At the time, I had told you I had all my money wrapped up in that flip. I
yeah,
wasn't selling anything. Things were not so great.
yeah,
And I wasn't sure. And I remember that day, it was around my birthday, around Christmas. I wasn't feeling that great. I was laying down, and you had followed up with me about it. And you were like, just try it. If you don't like it, if you don't see the ROI.
yeah,
And I jumped up and I was on within half an hour, right? It was almost the new year. I wanted things to change. I've had a rough 2 years now. And anyway,
yeah,
so I just wanted a fresh start. And you and I had talked before about me wanting to do a whole tale and understand it.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's why I joined.
That's cool. And I talk to a lot of people all day, talk to agents. I'm trying to find deals, and I'm like, hey, by the way, I got this group. And a lot of people feel that way And there's this anti like guru culture or whatever. And I'm like, I know people probably do get screwed or whatever, but I always had, even when I couldn't afford anything, I still had coaches because
Yeah.
I was just, I knew that's what was required, or people that, at least if it wasn't coaches, it was people that around me that knew
Yeah.
more. So I wish more people would like see that light just on anything, fitness, whatever you want to do. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Things you have to pay to get into big rooms.
Yeah.
Someone told me that. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To like, you'd freak, but like, I don't know. I paid like 300,000, 300,000 last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, literally, that's an investment to me.
No,
You know what I
totally.
mean? So it's, hey, I'm going to invest this big ass chunk into,
Yeah.
because like I'm looking down the road. I'm like, I want to
Yeah.
see what the hell do these people see? Because obviously, if we saw it, so you don't know what you don't know. So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
How'd you find this deal that we just did? The one that we should be getting a wire for any minute for
I
50,000.
know.
But how'd you
2
find
days later. A friend of mine, Kelly, I've known her for about 4 years. Really great friends, actually. I actually just joined her brokerage, and so we're working together again. It's funny. I was just in the house one night doing something, and I looked at my phone, and there was an address from her. And I thought, huh, I wonder what this is. And so I immediately went to look at the house before I even asked her, what's this about? What's going on?
it?
And then I called her, we talked about it, and I figured it was one of two things. Either she needed help with it, or it was something that I could buy and flip or wholesale because she doesn't do any of that.
Yeah,
But she knows I do. And so I figured that's what it was about. And yeah, so it just came from a friend of mine that's an agent.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That being said, and I know this is loaded too with, we said, hey, should agents learn this? But hypothetically, could any agent actually do the same thing? Could they, if there was a,
Anybody could do this, man.
right?
Anybody could do it. I just think it's great for agents because we have all of the relationships, the resources.
Yep,
So many people are doing agent outreach, right? We don't have to do that
yep.
because we've got those relationships. And if you just tell people what you're doing, they're going to send you deals, you
My
know?
ideal avatar, and just like transparency to everybody, the reason I did wholetails is because I want more deals. And I know there's people out there that want to do deals. And there's
Yeah.
sometimes there's a fallacy of, okay, maybe the money's not there, maybe it really isn't there, or maybe they just don't know, or maybe they need whatever it is. I wanted to do more deals. Yeah,
So just to go back, sorry, to go
yeah,
back to the question you asked me about, like, why did I join? That's why, because trying to put it all together, the
yeah.
money, the this, the that, it's like you come in here, you pay $500 a month, which is a drop in the bucket for the $25,000 we each just made, right?
Yep.
And I think it's for me, being in here is totally worth it because I didn't have to learn on my own and figure it out and spend all this time. Anyway.
When I got a member in the group, I've known him forever. And I'm not going to name drop him, but he's going to listen to this and know what I'm talking about. Stubborn as hell. But I was like, hey, he just got started in real estate, does well in some other stuff. And he picked up a couple flips. And I like tried to talk him out of it. I'm like, bro, don't do it. Don't do it. Just try this first. Right. But I
Mhm.
get it. Also, I know we humans, we want to try stuff. Right. We want
Mhm.
to, and maybe we'll be badass and maybe he's going to be the best flipper ever. And I'm glad he didn't listen to me. However, in my experience, flipping's like commissions in real estate, right? You do this number, right? You just like, but being able to understand market value and buy and resell on a predicted outcome, because it's just the data and it's super conservative, like you don't worry about all that mess. So
Yeah.
that's what
It's
I'm,
not something I realized until you and I just did this one. Blew my mind. Yeah. And I know they probably won't all be like the one we just did because that one was pretty, yeah, it was very straightforward, easy, in my opinion.
yeah.
I'm sure they're not all like that.
Yeah, some of them go up to 90 days. I don't know. My longest one so far was like 65 days. Because we're pretty conservative with
Yeah.
but I have one right now that I'm actually having to do some stuff that's been breaking and just weird ass stuff that set me a few weeks behind. So that one might be a 90-day, but we'll see.
Cool.
All right, anyway, what's one piece of advice you'd give to, I want to say any other agents out there?
one piece of advice.
One piece of advice, and the reason I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna ask this, so it would help you with the question.
Yeah.
And it could be anybody, but I use agents. One, because they are my ideal avatar, and I'm trying to figure out how to get more agents on this platform because it's
Yeah.
like wholesalers are more attracted, which I love wholesalers, but agents have the right, like they already have the framework, right?
Yeah.
It's just connect the dots and you're there. Most of them don't see it. And sometimes they might never see it. They might always. I got a buddy. Do another story.
Yeah.
He's number one in the country at what he does, real estate brokerage. He's an investor also. And he
Okay.
said something to me one time. He was like, "Hey, I stopped chasing. Like I knew at the beginning of every year, I started over. Like I was number one all year. But at the beginning of next year, I had to do it all over again." Right.
Yeah.
And anyway, sorry. It's just, yeah.
You pulled to me. So I think two things, if I can remember the second, I'm trying to write down the first one. I think agents need to realize that wholesalers and investors are really our friends. I think so many are so quick to just, they're in the bubble of the traditional buy-ins, just like we talked about earlier. Not all of them, right? Some people come from a background like you where they started investing first. I think that's great. I wish that was my situation, but I'm asked backwards on that. And there's this, what is this guy's name? I don't remember his name, but he does live calls to agents. And he's pretty successful at it. But there are times, just like all of us, we get cursed out, hung up on. But agents are just so quick to not want to hear out the wholesaler or the investor,
Yeah.
right? Because they're just in that bubble. And I think if they were more open to having relationships with wholesalers and investors instead of just be like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I had a two-parter and now I don't remember. I think just be open-minded to this side of the game. Creative space. So many agents don't understand that. They don't like to get the phone calls. And I really think they have to remember, and again, I'm an agent, right? So I'm not trying to single them
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
we have to remember as agents that we are trying to help our client. And you and I might not be everybody's best option, but sometimes we might be the only option for their situation, or we could be the best option for that time. I digress.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I like that you said best option because I'll tell people all the time, yeah, you could probably list it, get top dollar. Why are you selling? I want to sell quick. Okay. I might be a good option for you, right?
Yeah.
I appreciate you jumping on here. It's awesome. I know you're
Yeah.
stoked to do it.
I
So,
wasn't appreciate you for pushing me out of my comfort zone. So thank you.
thank you so much. And
Yeah, for
hopefully we
sure.
do 11 more of those deals this year.
Let's do it.